Hello everyone and welcome to yet another deck profile. Today we're gonna be focusing on Dragapult EX. Why Dragapult EX? Actually, there are two reasons why. The first one is because the deck actually won in the Dortmund Regional Championship this weekend, and we're gonna be focusing on that 60. And the second reason is because I was actually planning to play Dragapult EX and I had a lot of issues with consistency that the winning deck list actually mitigated. So that's why we're focusing on this build, because it seems to be the most consistent there is. For our Pokemon, we have 4 Drippy, we have 3 Dracloak, we have 3 Dragapult EXs, we have 2 Dusknoir, we have 1 Dusclops, we have 2 Duskull, we have 1 Tatsugiri, we have 1 Radiant Alakazam, we have 1 Fezandipiti EX, we have 1 Luminion V, and we have 2 Rotom V. For our supporters, we have 4 Arven, we have 2 Iono, we have 1 Boss's Orders, we have 1 Crispin, and we have 1 Roxanne. For our items, we have 4 Rare Candy, we have 4 Buddy Buddy Puffin, we have 3 Ultra Ball, we have 3 Nest Ball, we have 2 Earthen Vessel, we have 2 Counter Catcher, we have 1 Night Stretcher, and 1 Switch. For our Pokemon tool cards, we have 1 Rescue Board, we have 1 Sparkling Crystal as the ace spec of choice, we have 1 Forest Sealstone. For our stadiums, we have 1 Temple of Sinnoh to attack against Lugia. For our energies, we have 3 Fire Energies and 3 Psychic Energies. Okay, let's talk a little bit about matchups. I think, in my personal opinion, the most difficult matchup is by far the Raging Bolt EX because of its high damage output. And that's why in this matchup you want to actually get the damage onto their Pokemon with the Dusknoir and spread damage with Dragapult to get 4 prize turns and 2 prize turn in one game. And yeah, that is a lot of effort and very difficult to achieve, but that's the only way that this deck can actually be beat. And also, late game Roxanne or Iono might just be the one that saves you at the end. So, the next matchup we're gonna be talking about is Charizard EX, another very highly played deck. And I think, in my personal opinion, the best way to play against it is to let him take the first prize. And if at all possible, you should go first and knock out their setup with your Dusknoir and Phantom Dive. So you want to KO their Pidgeys and their Charmanders with the Dusknoir, and you want to KO the Pidgeys with the Phantom Dive, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So you just need to break their setup before they set up at the end of the day. And I think that's the most important part, and yeah, that's probably how you win. You can also, if they set up the Charizard EX, you need to knock out your Dusknoir to put 130 damage onto the Charizard EX, and then Phantom Dive for the knockout with the Dragapult to get the 2 prizes. And if they have both Charizard EXs set up, then you probably are gonna lose this one. But yeah, that's sort of the main gist of the matchup against Charizard EX. The next deck I'm gonna focus on is also a very widely played, and it's been getting a lot of traction lately, and that is the Dragapult EX, the new archetype that was released in Stellar Crown. And yeah, also, like against Charizard, you want to go first for at the coin flip, and you want to get the damage spread around as much as possible, and then just boss their other Terapagos onto the active. Well, you hit first Terapagos, and then you boss the other one and KO both of them, and you can get up to 4 prizes in one turn just with Phantom Diving. And you also can get a lot of assistance with the Dusknoir as well in this matchup. And once again, it is vital to disrupt their setup as well. If they don't get set up all that well, you have the game in your hand. It's basically over. And the last matchup that I'm gonna mention that I also tested a lot was against the Miraidon EX, that also gained the much of traction because of the Area Zero underdepths, and most of their attacking is actually done by Miraidon and by Raikou V, and that is actually a very easy matchup. You just need to get their Raikou V in the active, Phantom Dive for the knockout of Miraidon, spread the damage on Raikou, spread the damage on Miraidons and the Mewtwo EX, and just boss KO next turn, and that's pretty much it. And you get 4 prizes in one turn, and it's game over from that. Also, another matchup that I would very much like to mention is the Gardevoir EX. Another difficult, beefy 2-prizer, being Gardevoir, and a lot of single prize attackers. It's a very difficult matchup, but you can... I mean, Gardevoir tends to get a lot of damage ramped up onto them from the get-go, and you can just wipe out those Pokemon with the Phantom Dive, with the spread, with the Dusknoir and everything, and you also can hit pretty easily and get 2 prize turn on the single prize Pokemon almost every round. And also, one more thing to notice with Gardy is that it's absolutely vital to break their setup as well, because Gardy is very setup reliant deck, and if you break their setup early on, if you knock out 2 Curlias in turn 2, then they don't have the draw engine and it's game over from there on out. Another matchup that I would like to mention is the Roaring Moon EX, the deck that I liked to play a lot before rotation, and it's a very easy on paper matchup if they don't get everything they need, to be honest. If they don't play the capsules, it's easy. Just spread 30 damage on each of the Roaring Moons so they can't frenzy gouging you without knocking themselves out. If they play the capsules, it's a bit more tricky because you need to pop the Dusknoir, spread the damage around with the Radiant Alakazam, and Phantom Dive for knockout, and spread with the Phantom Dive as well. But also here, it is extremely vital that you KO their Radiant Greninja as soon as possible, so they don't get the draw engine. It is absolutely vital that you take multiple prize turns as well, and it is also extremely important the late game Roxanne, so they don't get the combination, the cards that they are looking for, like easily. If they get just 2 cards in their hand, it's very difficult for them to pick the pace back. They just kind of ran out of gas from there on out. So, to summarize, this deck is very, very versatile and very, very consistent, and I'm definitely gonna take this 60 to Cups and Challenges in the future, without a doubt. And despite not being classified as S tier on many opinions out there, but I still think it's very close to being S tier. Why is it not S tier? Because the only thing is, if you don't get the setup, you have a big problem. But with this deck, the consistency is there. That's not that big of an issue. And the second thing, why it isn't classified as S tier, because no one really figured out the perfect 60. This one is as close as it gets, but I believe that by the time Gdansk regionals are hitting us, there will be a better 60 and it will be classified as S tier from there on out.